So, as a doctor, the more I learn about the human body, the more fascinating I find it. Right from the way a tiny single cell functions in the human body to the way all these billions and trillions of cells come together to form tissues and the physical human body, and how seamlessly they work amongst each other. Not just the physical body, even the mind and the consciousness, and how does it all gel together. The mysteries of all these ideas is just mind-boggling to me.
Are you aware of the fact that Kalaripayattu is actually the mother of Kung Fu and...
Yeah, I've heard about that.
That's an interesting legend.
So I've never really seen Kalaripayattu for real. I've never really met a student or a teacher or a disciple who follows this art form and the lifestyle associated with it. But I've heard a lot about it. I know that it has a history of 3,000 years. It was originated in southern India. It is the mother of a lot of different martial art forms. And what makes me curious is the fact that it is not just a martial art form. It is not like learning a few tips and tricks to protect yourself in the case of danger, learning a few jabs and a few chops here and there. It is almost like a lifestyle. So the doctor inside me is quite curious to know the anatomy, the physiology, the understanding of this ancient sciences about the human body, because it has been 3,000 years in the making, and from what I've come to know, they have a deep understanding of the human body. Tell me something that is Kalaripayattu as of today, as of 2021, is it a dying art or is it a thriving art? Like, are youngsters easy to find who want to follow this, or is it going to get vanished in a couple of years? What do you think?
Well, we are well beyond the dark ages of Kalaripayattu.
Oh.
So what I mean by that is, during the British era, they banned Kalaripayattu because they understood that if we had this,
right,
sooner or later we're going to get independence for sure.
The word Kalari comes from the Sanskrit word which means battlefield, and Paitam means practice. So the Kalari Hall is designed after keeping all the rules of Vastu in mind, and the location is chosen very carefully because it is believed that the right location can prevent accidents from happening.
So we lost a lot of things. In fact, the Kalaripayattus exist today. We don't know how much we lost, but I think at least 90-95% we've lost.
So it is lost. When you say lost, it means that there are no teachers to teach the techniques which were known to them. They could not pass it on to the next generation. You can say that Kalaripayattu is just the physical art form that we see. There is also something called as Kalaripayattu, which means the spiritual or the yogic practices which are associated with the Kalaripayattu art form.
Yeah.
Because I am assuming that there was no way to record those teachings. There was no written format or no verbal format to remember the rituals and the practices and the strategies.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was done. There's something called Vaitari.
Okay.
Vaitari is the command of the Guru. So when you're training in Kalari, the Guru commands and you do it.
Okay.
So it's actually more visual learning than oral. The language you have to see and understand is how I would like to put it.
Oh, okay. Today, Kalaripayattu is only learned as a art form, as a martial arts technique. Like there are many other popular martial arts technique, taekwondo, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, etc., etc. So this is just one amongst them as of today. However, back in the day, it was taken much more seriously, and it was taught in the Gurukul format or the Gurukul way of teaching, where the disciple would live at the place where the teachings were transferred from the teacher to the student. Okay, so how do you think is the lifestyle of a person who is a student of Kalari will be different from somebody who just lives their life normally, like they wake up, they go to the office, and pretty much how most of the people live?
Well, if I look at my life, the last 8 months has been a time period where I've grown so much. In the sense, I can't really relate to who I was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
At every single point. And it has a lot to do with your spine.
Okay.
Because what Kalaripayattu does is it starts from the lower part of the body
Right.
and it opens this part up,
Right.
the pelvic region, so that to facilitate a spinal stretch
Right.
from the lower part to the upper.
Shushruta, who is one of the founding fathers of modern surgical techniques, in his book mentions a lot of pressure points identified all over the body which are of significance when it comes to a lot of different diseases and body related ailments. The same thing is called marma in the Kalaripayattu sciences, and they took this information and elaborated it in much more depth. So Ayurveda has a mention of around 107 different marmas or pressure points all over the body. Shushruta mentioned somewhere around 107, 108. Kalaripayattu followers and teachers found out 300 or so marmas all over the body, and they have a deep understanding of it.
How do you think? What habits will you pick up? What habits have you picked up which now make you maybe better or different?
Well, your awareness goes up like crazy.
Okay.
In the sense, especially once you move to weapon training,
Right.
if you're not right there
Right.
and you're doing the sword, your head is gonna roll background, even with a stick. And when for a lot of people they might not have experienced a really dangerous weapon coming their way.
Right.
And once your mind and body is trained to take that on and defend yourself, that fear aspect is something which goes off.
Right.
And because of the fear of death, which is already always there in the body,
Right.
you naturally become aware, because if you're not aware, you'll die.
So has that helped you in real life? Have you ever observed?
Yeah, so now when I'm walking into a room, my awareness levels are very, without me even trying. Even so, okay, I earn money doing content marketing. So what I used to take 4 hours,
Right.
if I'm writing a blog post, now it takes 2 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like the efficiency is gone up.
You're more focused.
Extremely focused.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying. It's become a natural state of how I work.
Kalaripayattu students or disciples are not just warriors, they are equivalent to doctors or health practitioners once their practicing hours are over. And this is also something that I saw at the Kalarigram Institute, the Kalarigram. It was not just like a gymnasium where you would go and learn the tricks and the exercises. It was more like a clinic, an Ayurvedic clinic where a lot of treatment is also given, and along with that, Kalaripayattu is taught. So have you ever had this feeling of being so absorbed in doing something that you lose track of time and you really enjoy that particular activity? It could be something, it could be like driving, meditating, maybe singing a song, painting, dancing, whatever. This state of mind where you are completely absorbed is called flow. And many practitioners of martial arts have named this in their own language, but they all have identified that there comes a state where your level of awareness becomes much more. You become more hyper aware. In Kalaripayattu, this flow or this phenomenon of being completely absorbed is called having eyes all around.
So once you reach that sort of dynamism, then it becomes very easy for you to meditate. So then your body naturally yearns for stillness. So right before this, if I had to meditate, I have to sit here and this pops up, and it takes an hour maybe to get something out of it. Now after Kalari, I sit for 5 minutes and like, boom,
Okay.
I have the same effect.
So why is this a pit to begin with? Why is it not flat on the ground?
Many reasons. The main reason is if you look at these steps,
Mm-hmm.
it represents the different elements, 5 elements.
Okay.
And the last step is the earth.
Oh,
Last one.
that way.
And there are other benefits like if you are training here, it's very different, like I've trained here
Right.
and I've trained outside.
Okay.
The kind of energy you get here
Okay.
is mind blowing.
Okay.
And the kind of security you feel, like for example if you're doing a dangerous jump or something, here it's very easy. Even if you fall down, you somehow fall down like a cat, and it's very comfortable.
It's like a pre-decided safe environment. You know.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some energies at work here as well, like
Okay.
the,
And there is no distraction per se.
yeah. So this is one technique to still your mind and body, so that meditativeness becomes very easy.
But why Kalari? Like, why can't a regular gym workout do that to you? I mean, what is the difference?
Because a regular gym workout works a lot on the muscles, right? Kalari is all about the spine.
Okay.
So, and it's rooted in the yogic sciences.
Okay.
So, a lot of experiences are metaphysical.
Knowledge of marmas or the specific pressure points on the body can be used both ways. As a student of Kalaripayattu, you are taught not just to kill your opponent by using those pressure points, but also to heal your fellow soldier or your fellow colleague, your student, with the same knowledge of those pressure points. So, a Kalaripayattu warrior is not just a warrior. I would say that he, back in the day, would also be known as a doctor or a health practitioner who knew both the arts, the art of killing somebody and the art of saving somebody's life as well.
We know Kalaripayattu as a form of martial arts. The martial arts is something that a person should know because he wants to defend himself against danger, right? And there are so many forms of martial arts around the world, but at least in my knowledge, the most methodical martial arts is this, because there are so many rituals and it's more like a prayer. Like I said, it's more like a prayer than a martial art. So if it was purely martial arts, you should just know the tricks of defending yourself, or maybe when it comes to hurting somebody else in your defense. That is where it should stop as a martial arts. So why do you think has it turned into something which is more deeply spiritual, and when did that happen, and why was the need for that to happen?
Well, I think this is a common misconception that spirituality comes later.
Okay.
In the sense, spirituality is something, if you don't practice in the here and now,
Right.
it's irrelevant. It's something in the mind.
Right.
And like anything in India, even if you take dance forms, martial art forms, or anything, at the end goal is to refine this device. Right? You refine the body and the mind.
Yeah. As much as you can.
Yeah, for a specific purpose.
Right.
But the larger goal has always been advancement of your
Right.
so-called spirituality, which is basically an extension of your life experience.
After learning so much about the human body, the mind, the spirituality, the yogic practices, and being able to kill somebody at will, and also having the knowledge and ability to heal somebody, having both these powers or superpowers is in a way channelizes your violence for your own development. Because now that you have collected so many different forms of knowledge, you know that the violence which is inside you can actually kill somebody. You would rather not use it lightly and use the same energy, the same understanding for the spiritual development, the empowerment of your own body and of the people around you.
So once you start experiencing things which is beyond this physical body and mind, that is what we term as spirituality. So once you refine the system, naturally those things come up.
Okay, so you mean to say that it started as a purely physical thing to defend yourself, but eventually people found out that if you take it more seriously, it can turn into a lifestyle.
No, what I mean is, to efficiently defend yourself,
Yeah.
you need the spiritual powers.
Okay.
So it's part of it.
Okay. So if we separate the spirituality and the rituals and the prayer part from the Kalaripayattu, we only talk about the physical aspect, the exercises which you do, the various poses which you have for defending yourself. So that in itself is less effective unless backed up by your mental presence of mind and the whole.
So let's put it this way: the physical aspects charge up the system,
Right.
and makes it efficient
Right.
for energy to flow through it. Right? So you can just do this as well, and still, even if you don't practice the other stages, like the tantric aspects or even the meditative aspects, you doing this itself will make you meditative in your life.
Okay.
Like anything you do, you just, like I said, if I'm writing content, now why am I so efficient? I think it's because I'm not meditating.
Oh.
So meditation slips into everything, you like it or not.
Oh.
And even this movement becomes meditative. So meditative or ritual or whatever you want to call it.
Intentional, you would say. You just mentally, you're not just defocused, loitering around too many thoughts. Even physically, you're not. You have more control over the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you think.
Meditativeness becomes a quality rather than a practice you do for half an hour.
So in surgery parlance, for example, we have something called as controlled movements when we are operating, when you have to take care of minute structures and everything. So you have to be very conscious of how your fingers move, how your hands move. So I think we're talking about the same thing, because you be more conscious of the way your body moves, and at times it is no benefit that it has.
Yeah, and I think that's a crazy parallel because the costs are high, right? If you make a mistake,
And here
also it's same. If you make a mistake, you'll get hit. So that is what I think
the
pushes the human system to achieve that sort of.
To be alert and active.
And in this case, you will die. So it's even more.
You can say that. Okay.
This is all that was going inside my mind as I was spending time with them, and I had the luxury of asking as many questions, experiencing it for the first time in my life. So these were some thoughts that I wanted to share with you. After the whole the performance, the demonstration was over, I can say that we all went back to our own realities. However, the wonder and the experience and the goosebumps are still with me, and I think will stay with me for a long time to come.
So I'm really thankful to Akshay and Arvind and Guruji at Auroville Kalarigram, who allowed me a guided tour and just gave me a free hand to click and shoot whatever I wanted. I never had imagined that I would have such a warm welcome over here. So we just wrapped up shooting some videos and clicking pictures, and I'm highly obliged that I could do that. So thank you everyone. One pro tip before you decide to film any spiritual, religious or deeply sensitive martial arts thing is that you always ask for permission, and if there is no permission, that in my opinion, don't push. I think the best way is to maintain peace and not to invade privacy. That is why I believe we had a really good interaction over here, and everybody was very receptive to all that I had to say and all the ideas that I had in my mind.